Hey pillars, welcome back to another video. We're doing another bike comparison that was requested by Ravi, and it says, hey bud.
Hey bud, what's your problem?
Hey bud, could you do a comparison of the Trek Emonda SL6 2021 versus the Scott Addict RC 30 2021, around the same price, both integrated cables, same weight? Which one would you go for? If you guys want any comparisons, leave in the comment section down below, but let's jump right into this comparison. So I'm assuming Ravi wants us to compare the Emonda SL6 Pro to the Scott Addict RC 30 Prism green purple bike. That's what they call it, but basically the Scott Addict RC 30, and that's a fair comparison because the Scott Addict RC is $39.99, so $4,000, and the Emonda SL6 Pro is $3,800 USD. So basically roughly the same price, but in terms of value, I find it quite different. Now you're watching some close-ups of the bikes. Now, if you do want me to keep incorporating these in the future comparison videos, then please drop a like on this video so I know that you guys appreciate it. But if not, that's totally fine as well. But now we're on the United States website taking a look at the 2021 Trek Emonda SL6 Pro. Now, I've already covered this bike recently on my channel, and I think it's a pretty good value. It comes in two very nice colors, lithium gray right here that we have. You can see in different colors. It looks very nice, very modern, very clean in terms of cable integration, and it also comes in this Trek black radioactive red, which is what the Trek Segafredo Pro team uses. So I think that looks very nice too, very clean looking. I love the big Trek logo on it as well. Now the Trek logo isn't as big on the lithium gray version, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a very clean looking bike, but we're talking about what you get in terms of the value, not just the aesthetics. I could be here all day talking about how good this bike looks. Now, in terms of the Trek Emonda 2021, it's the complete race bike, aerodynamic flares, but all around. So it's basically the new standard all-around race bike that Trek offers, very comparable to the Giant TCR or the Specialized SL7 Tarmac. So pretty much this is their flagship all-around race bike, and you can see from the old iterations of the Emonda, this looks very more modern with the aerodynamic flares that was much needed. Now, since I recently covered this bike, I'll say it really quick. It has a carbon fiber frame, fork, and seat post, aluminum handlebar and stem, 11-speed hydraulic Shimano Ultegra group set. You can see even the rotors are Ultegra, so that's great to see. But the only thing that you don't get on this bike is that the integration in terms of the cockpit area. It's not a full-on aero integrated cockpit. It's just a normal stem and bar, but the cable integration is cleaner. You can see it goes through the head tube, so that's great to see. Here's another shot. You can see the cables are going through the head tube. Now, one thing I absolutely love about this bike in terms of value is that it comes with carbon fiber rims. So if we take a look in terms of the specs, it comes with Trek's Bontrager Aeolus Elite 35mm depth tubeless ready rims, which I think is amazing. It's also a threaded bottom bracket that should be noted, a 5236 semi-compact crankset with all Shimano Ultegra R8000, so the newest Ultegra 1130 at the back, which is great to see. And one thing to note that I absolutely love when bike companies do is they actually list the weight of the bike. So the weight here is 8 kilograms for a 56 centimeter frame, which is around 17 pounds, which Ravi asked that both these bikes are roughly in the same weight, and you also see that on the Scott Addict website. So a hats off to both these companies for actually including the weights. I found that super important. But for $3,800 USD, I think you're getting a basically complete race bike right out of the box. Now, the only thing I wish Trek would have put is maybe a single-sided power meter. Now, for $3,800 USD, having a carbon fiber frame, fork, and seat post along with those rims that are carbon fiber and a full 11-speed hydraulic group set, and nothing's cheaped out on in terms of parts. There's no swaps in terms of componentry. I think this is the most you would need, even if you were a serious racer or super enthusiastic about riding in general. If you were an enthusiast, weekend word, I think this is more than enough for $3,800 USD. Now, quick side note, I still think a carbon fiber frame and fork with a 105 group set and some aluminum rims gets the job done as well. But to each is their own, and I totally understand if you want a really good performing bike, then having this, which is usually carbon fiber frame, fork, seat post, 11-speed hydraulic group set along with carbon rims, it's totally a good bet also. So now we're taking a look at the Scott Addict RC 30 Prism purple bike. Now I'm just on this website for the wheels. I've already looked at these wheels in the past, so I know that they're aluminum wheels or alloy wheels, so Synchros RP2 alloy wheels, and the bike is retailing for $39.99 USD, so there's a price difference of $200 USD when compared to the Emonda SL6 Pro. Now we're gonna actually hop on over to the Scott Addict RC 30 official site so you can see we're in the United States. Now taking a deeper look at the bike, I think it looks very nice. You can see the Schwalbe 10-wall tires, full 11-speed hydraulic group set. They don't cheap out on the rotors. Carbon fiber frame, fork, and I assume seat post. But the biggest difference I can see right off the bat just from looking at it is that you get this full-on integrated cockpit. Cables are very clean. This is obviously cleaner than the cables on the Emonda. But the thing that I see right off the bat is these rims, like I said, are not aluminum. So for $39.99, $200 more expensive, what are you truly getting? Now we're going to quickly take a deeper look at the parts. Now you have the frame, which is carbon fiber. Fork is carbon fiber as well, with the steer not being aluminum. So it's all full on carbon fiber. Rear derailleur, Shimano Ultegra. I like how they put the R8000 so you know it's the newest Ultegra. So everything is basically Ultegra. Now in terms of the crankset that comes on the Scott Addict RC30, you're getting a semi-compact crankset along with an 1130 rear cassette. So basically the exact same componentry that is found on the Emonda in terms of gear ratio. In terms of the rotors, you're getting a 160 front and rear, which is the exact same I forgot to mention on the Emonda as well. And then for the rest, I'm assuming the seat post is carbon fiber. I could be wrong. And the weight of the bike is 17.64 pounds approximate, which is roughly around 7.7 kilograms, which is exactly similar to the Emonda. So with that being said, right here we can see, I'm assuming that is aluminum because the bars are not aluminum. That's like a two-piece bar set. So I assume that is aluminum. Now the seat posts, I just wish they were a little bit more clear, especially with the parts saying this is carbon or aluminum or alloy. Now one thing I want to note before I give my recommendation on which bike I think is a better value and would go for, I just want to remind you guys the reason why I don't talk about the carbon fiber layouts in terms of weight and stiffness to weight ratio and all that stuff is just I don't find it that important. Now there's obviously small nuances between bikes that obviously makes one more favorable than the other, and that's why I always recommend testing both bikes and really feeling which one feels better, but it's so subjective in terms of how you interpret it. So I could tell you, I can blindfold you, get you to ride two different bikes, and you'd be surprised that you may choose a cheaper price than a super bike. And I always want to note the biggest return and biggest weight savings you can do is on yourself, making you the fittest, strongest cyclist. So I really find it funny when people want to talk about the carbon fiber layout and all that stuff. I'm not saying it's not important. I just think in terms of value, it's usually about what parts come on the bike. And I just want to highlight the most important thing in my opinion is basically geometry. How does it feel when you actually test ride it, componentry, and price? Usually that's what I care about. Yes, engineering is important, but from every year to year, we hear roughly the same things, faster, stiffer, lighter. So with that being said, Ravi, this is my suggestion. It's a no-brainer for me. I'm going with the Emonda SL6 Pro 2021, retailing for $3,800 USD. The price difference that this bike's actually cheaper by $200 USD is great because that means you get carbon fiber rims with these instead of the aluminum rims that come stock on the Scott Addict RC30. Other than that, I just give my hats off in terms of integration. Yes, this bike does look cleaner when compared to the Emonda. However, I'm just going to admit too that if you want to work on your bike, this integration stuff that's getting really popular right now isn't the best. Now, it is possible you can learn. You have to learn with anything to get comfortable with it. I just personally like a cleaner, accessible headset cockpit area. And the last thing I want to note, I usually find that the integration in terms of the cockpit is a lot cleaner and nicer looking when you get to the expensive super bikes like the Tarmac SL7, and even the more expensive Emondas have a better integration in terms of the cockpit. So for the lower end models, I rather just have a very simple bar and stem with a little bit of cable showing than a cheaper version of an integrated cockpit, which usually causes more problems. I know I hated working on the giant propels with their integration cockpit. It was just a headache with covers covering the cables and stuff. I really don't care for that point. The Emonda SL6 Pro is clean enough. There's even some World Tour pros I follow that they actually you have a stem, like a normal stem and bar with cable showing. They don't have their integrated one-piece handlebars just for, I guess, convenience for their training bikes. So it just shows you for racing, yeah, I can understand aero gains, all seconds matter, I get it. But just for everyday normal riding, a normal stem and bar with some clean integration here is more than enough. Now, one thing I just want to note is with Scott bikes, I haven't seen the best of value for their bikes. So unless they're making claims that their frames are super light or super compliant, in terms of value, Trek right here is beating them by a long stretch, because carbon fiber rims, give or take $700 to $1,000, then you're looking at like a $5,000 bike, and this bike is $3,800, and you have carbon fiber rims from the get-go. So that about wraps it up. I hope you guys followed it. If you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not, leave a recommendation on what bike comparisons you would want to see. Now I'm just going to note, please make sure it's at least a 2021 model. Specify what group set is it? Is it 105? Is it Ultegra? Is it a super bike? I'm more than welcome to look into it and add it to my list of comparisons. And that about wraps it up. So until the next one, keep on pedaling.